In this video, a discussion is held about the nature of critical thinking. The content discussed is from the 2018 book titled Elements of Critical Thinking, a fundamental guide to effective decision-making, deep analysis, intelligent reasoning, and independent thinking by Albert Rutherford. Wow, that's a long name for a book. But more simply, the discussion explores the distinction between fast thinking and slow thinking. Fast thinking gets us to that which is obvious, and slow thinking allows us to go beyond that and get to deeper insights. Let's get into the discussion now.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we're looking into something really fundamental to how we understand the world: critical thinking. There's just so much information out there, and figuring out what's reliable, it's more important than ever.
It really is.
We'll explore a bit about how our minds work with information and maybe uncover some ways you can sharpen your own understanding when it counts.
Yeah, and we've all had those moments where a quick answer seems fine, feels sufficient.
Right, the obvious solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Purposeful leaders, effective team members, they often recognize that need to pause, to look a bit deeper.
So not just accepting the first thing that pops up.
Precisely. Today we'll talk about moving past that surface level, really getting a better handle on the information you encounter.
Okay, so let's break it down. What does being a critical thinker actually involve? It sounds like more than just not taking the first idea presented.
It is, yeah. Critical thinkers, they actively seek out other explanations, other options.
They aren't satisfied easily.
No, rarely with the first solution.
Yeah.
They really want to see the evidence, understand the path that leads to a conclusion before they accept it.
So someone's opinion, however strong, isn't enough.
Not on its own, no. An opinion doesn't make something a fact.
So it sounds like asking good questions is key. And considering the context, maybe understanding underlying feelings too, and keeping an open mind.
Yes, absolutely. It's really a quest, I think, to understand the why behind thoughts. It's a refusal to just accept things as they appear.
Okay.
This means checking if ideas are actually supported by facts, by evidence, even if it means questioning established figures sometimes.
That takes confidence.
It does. And critical thinkers keep digging until they find a solid idea or a strong option that's really grounded in evidence. Their beliefs, their choices, their judgments, they're based on evidence.
Now, our brains are amazing, obviously, but they do have certain tendencies, right? Especially when it comes to processing things quickly.
Oh, for sure. Our brains have this inclination developed over a long, long time to respond rapidly. It was a survival thing.
Makes sense.
So we often want that quick, simple solution. Daniel Kahneman's work, especially his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, is really helpful here. He talks about two different systems.
Yes, the two systems. Tell us a bit about those.
Okay, so system one is the fast one. It's
Yeah.
instant, unconscious, automatic.
Yeah.
Often emotional and intuitive,
That's our gut reaction.
pretty much. And then there's system two. That's the slower one. It's conscious, rational, it uses reasoning, and it's very deliberate.
And that takes effort.
A lot of effort. Slow thinking requires significant energy. I mean, when we really concentrate, something like 20% of our body's energy can go just to our brain.
Wow, 20%.
Yeah. So our brains naturally try to conserve energy, rather avoid system two thinking if possible. Fast thinking uses much less energy.
So our brains are built for efficiency, which is generally good. But that efficiency can sometimes mean we bypass careful examination, like a shortcut.
That's a good way to put it. Fast thinking helps us maintain our current view of the world, our sense of what's normal.
Okay.
But it can also be easily convinced. It's quick to accept things without real questioning. It automatically tries to believe everything.
Really? It defaults to belief.
It seems so. To understand something, we first subconsciously ask, what would this mean if it were true? Only then, consciously, can we choose to disbelieve it. And that act of disbelieving, that's slow thinking.
Fascinating.
So most of our thinking starts with system one, with fast thinking feelings, initial impressions. System two, the slow thinking, gets engaged when things are difficult, when they require a more deliberate process to figure out.
So it sounds like fast thinking often stops at the obvious conclusion.
Yes.
And critical thinking then is specifically about pushing beyond the obvious.
Exactly right. When we don't have all the information or comprehensive information, we risk making hasty conclusions. Fast thinking often goes into a kind of autopilot. Kahneman called this tendency, what you see is all there is.
Meaning it just focuses on what's right in front of it?
Yes. It concentrates on the available information and assumes there's nothing else to consider. or it just overlooks what's missing.
And those quick judgments can become ingrained.
They can become deeply held beliefs or inclinations within our slow thinking system, leading to incorrect assessments or misplaced trust in certain ideas.
Okay, this distinction between fast and slow thinking really comes into play when we're reading, doesn't it? Many of us read to get information, but real learning seems to demand more.
It absolutely does. Critical readers apply critical thinking to what they read. They understand that reading's more than just pulling out facts.
That's not just data collection.
No, real knowledge, that sense of owning your learning, that happens when we truly analyze and consider the text. It's interactive.
So it's an active process. You can't just be passive.
Exactly. Critical readers are actively questioning, challenging ideas as they go. They assess the strengths, the weaknesses of an author's argument, almost like a judge weighing evidence. They check if the material comes from a reputable source, known for thoroughness and accepted research methods.
That's important.
It is. Though even in fields with differing expert opinions, academic verification doesn't guarantee zero mistakes or biases.
And evaluating the credibility of the material itself is part of this process too.
Yes, definitely. Critical readers look closely at the sources and methods an author uses. Are they credible?
Okay.
They check if authors present opinions as facts without specific evidence, or if they seem unwilling to consider viewpoints different from their own.
That's a red flag.
Can be. Higher level thinking, deeper knowledge that comes when we move beyond just gathering data. It's about organizing thoughts and ideas, exploring connections between them.
Now, I remember reading somewhere that we forget a huge amount of what we read, even if we read carefully, like a startlingly high percentage.
That research is pretty consistent. The figure often cited is we can forget up to 98%.
98%, that's a lot.
Which means, really, our job is to identify that crucial 2% that truly matters.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we hang on to the important stuff?
Well, critical readers use tools like note-taking and summaries. These really help increase retention and make the information easier to access later.
And this isn't just copying sentences, right? That feels like busy work.
No. Good point. When critical readers take notes or write summaries, they aren't just repeating the author's words verbatim.
What are they doing then?
They're actively engaging, exploring the text to find the insights, the knowledge that's most relevant and important to them.
Ah, making it personal.
Exactly. When you actively consider what you read and then write down key points in your own words, you build personal connections. You often uncover your own feelings or thoughts on the topic you hadn't even recognized before.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you have any practical tips for taking notes effectively?
Sure, a few things come to mind. First, try to finish reading a whole section before you take notes on it.
Don't interrupt the flow too much.
Right. Read to a natural break point, then stop and reflect. Second, identify what seems most important and relevant for you. Write those key points down in your own words.
Own words, key phrase.
Definitely. Now, if there's a large chunk that feels important, instead of copying it all, maybe write a one-sentence summary of that section and just note where it is in the text.
Good idea, like a signpost.
Exactly. And finally, organize your notes in a way that makes sense to you. They don't need to follow the original text structure perfectly.
Okay.
This active engagement, this process, is a really important application of that slow, critical thinking we talked about.
So critical thinking is crucial for taking in information, but it's just as important when we're creating information, like in writing. What makes writing critical?
Critical writing really demonstrates that the author refuses to just accept conclusions from others without looking closely at their arguments and evidence.
Okay.
It involves carefully considering all sides of an argument, all the evidence, to reach conclusions that are objective, informed, and rational.
And acknowledging limitation.
Critical writers do that. They acknowledge limitations in everyone's evidence, arguments, conclusions, including their own. They work to present the most supported, well-considered case they can.
So supporting claims with evidence is just non-negotiable.
Absolutely central.
Yeah.
Critical writers make sure their claims are backed by evidence. And they understand that if a statement isn't universally accepted or if it's controversial, it needs even more evidence to persuade readers.
Right.
And they don't just focus on giving reasons for their own conclusions. They also present opposing arguments fairly.
And then address them.
And provide evidence to refute them, yes, which actually strengthens their own position. It's perfectly fine for a critical writer to examine existing ideas and then add their own thoughts and evaluations.
It sounds like a lot of preparation goes into this before writing even starts.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Critical writers prepare thoroughly. They do their research, become really knowledgeable on the topic.
Reading widely.
Reading very widely, yes. Taking notes on the important insights. Learning from others who have written on the subject. They invest significant time and energy before writing that first word.
Because that prep work leads to stronger arguments.
Exactly. Critical writing is fundamentally about presenting evidence and arguments to support your conclusions and to dispute opposing views. Now, some claims are widely accepted, seem like common sense.
Writers can assume readers will accept those more readily.
Generally, yes,
You mentioned evidence references must play a big part here too.
they do. References are how you support ideas with that evidence. Citing references shows honesty, obviously, prevents taking credit for others' ideas. But they also give readers extra sources for more information, let them examine other arguments, and see where the author's conclusions came from.
And they help the writer too.
Yes, they remind writers where their guiding ideas originated, and they serve as a check, helping ensure their thinking isn't incorrect or maybe based on outdated information.
Okay, so when we look at a piece of critical writing, maybe one we're reading or one we're trying to write, what are the essential components? What makes it effective?
Critical writing needs to do more than just answer a guiding question. That question directs the work, certainly. Everything written should work towards answering it.
Right.
But authors have to clearly show the reader that they answered it,
Yeah.
completely and definitively. They need to demonstrate that their conclusion follows logically from the evidence presented.
And that it fully addresses the original question.
Precisely.
So what are those key components we should look for, the building blocks?
I'd say all critical writing needs a few things. A clear guiding question, letting the reader know the topic right away. An outline, explicit or implicit, that acts as a map for answering that question.
Right, a roadmap.
A sense of flow, a logical connection between paragraphs, between sections, moving the reader smoothly from one idea to the next.
Makes sense.
And finally, a valid conclusion that's clearly based on the evidence presented. It confirms the journey's end and definitively answers that guiding question.
This whole discussion, thinking about fast and slow thinking, and then how that applies to reading critically, writing critically, it really underscores the intentional thought needed for real understanding.
It really does. Applying these ideas means consciously choosing to engage that deeper, slower, more deliberate thinking, not just settling for the easy, superficial answer.
Okay.
And that active engagement helps you move beyond just consuming information to really owning knowledge, making it part of how you see things.
So for you listening today, we hope this gives you some useful perspectives, maybe helps you recognize opportunities to apply more careful, critical thought in how you deal with information every day.
Whether that's a report you're reading, an article, or maybe a challenging decision you need to make.
Perhaps think about, what question can you ask next time to push beyond the obvious?
Thank you for your time and for listening to this podcast.